It's been said that God created autumn so they could play college football on its Saturdays. A trip across the nation will unearth distinctive celebrations of the game, but nothing matches the frenzied pulse that beats in the veins of college football fans in the South.
College football fans in the South believe that their team represents their way of life. They believe that that school represents who they are as a human being. And I think that's what differentiates really college from pro, but specifically the SEC from just about any other fan base.
Welcome back. It is Friday. It is the Louis Bellina Show. Here in my studio now, a pair of guys from Missouri. They're documentarians because the idea of spending a whole fall going to every single SEC stadium and experience what makes the SEC great, I think that's a dream of a lot of people right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to check out the culture, the pageantry, the traditions of the SEC.
This conference, I think it's different. It sets itself apart from every other conference. People cheer for each other in bowl games. Everyone waves the SEC flag. It just means more.
They say in the SEC it just means more, and nowhere is that more evident than the astounding annual Media Days event.
Nothing makes it more obvious that it just means more than the fact that it's 4 days. Nobody else goes more than two, no other conference. Some do it all in one, so, the emphasis, the interest, the fan passion is there to feed this monster.
It matters, and they don't care if their team is good or not good. The game on Saturday matters a lot in the SEC, and it's a little different than other conferences.
They don't have the New York Yankees here, the Chicago Bulls or the LA Dodgers, so it's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's Florida football, it's LSU football.
Members of the press are afforded the opportunity to size up the competition and barrage coaches with questions prior to each season.
I've coached in several different leagues, including the NFL, the Big Ten, and I just think the interest and the passion here makes it special to be, a part of this.
Looking at the end of the season last year when you guys had that 7 overtime game against Texas A&M.
Thanks for bringing that up, by the way.
Just for you.
The SEC is a beast unto its own, a powerhouse conference, housing dominant programs with supreme talent, ever awaiting their moment to break free of their reins and run unfettered across college football's landscape. With Nashville as its backdrop, Music City is home to a community fiercely driven by a desire to create. It's the winning combination of culture and cowboys, Southern and sass. It's got a little bit of everything all rolled into one, which keeps visitors coming back for more.
Vanderbilt really should be ashamed of itself for not having had greater success and more consistency. A travesty in my mind that they have not taken the Southeastern Conference war chest and put it to better work in terms of facilities. This whole we hide behind our academic success excuse, sorry.
Some Saturdays, visiting fans flood into Vanderbilt Stadium, presuming victory with an arrogant swagger. Other Saturdays, the empty seats symbolize a constant reminder that the school's athletic prowess has historically been inferior.
I loved the opportunity at Vanderbilt. I loved the small stadium. I loved the fact that when I ran out, half the crowd was booing us when I ran out and half the crowd was going crazy, and that was such an exciting feeling to always feel doubted, to always feel like the little brother, to always feel like you weren't on the level of those other SEC schools. Vanderbilt offers an incredibly unique experience, and that unique experience is not for everybody. Truthfully, they're the doormat of the SEC. They're the bottom of the SEC traditionally. From a football standpoint. Now, from an academic standpoint, the Harvard of the South is what people say. And, there's a lot of pride that goes into that.
A&M's Midnight Yell is an event that leaves fans poised to unleash a game day fury and unites 50,000 Aggies at the ever-daunting Kyle Field on Friday nights before home games.
One of the things I learned very early when I came here in 1956 was the friends you make at A&M. We were told that the people that you're meeting, that you're freshmen with, they're going to be the best people at your wedding, they're going to be your pallbearers at your funeral, and that still holds true today. Midnight Yell, everybody would fall in when the band passed their dorm. People would fall in behind the band, and everybody went into the grove at the same time. Today, it's not that way. It's such a bigger thing. And people say, when does Midnight Yell start? And I say, midnight. The ring is very, very special. It's full of symbology. Everything on that ring, there's some symbology. 98% of the graduates of Texas A&M get their Aggie ring. This is noticeable any place. And you see anyone in an airport, and they have that ring on, you go up and introduce yourself. That's one of the great things about Texas A&M is the friendships and the relationships that you have.
A visit to Aggie Land is like returning home, even if you happen to live elsewhere. Steeped with tradition, pride, and hospitality, there's a raucous howdy awaiting you, even if you're garnished in visiting colors. To immerse yourself in the spirit of Aggie Land is to explore the true good in human nature, a common bond of human feeling that makes Texas A&M a perfect companion to its new SEC brethren.
You got the SEC, you playing in the best conference in all of college football. The fan base, nowadays sitting 100 and something thousand. You're on TV all the time. The facilities are better than the pro facilities. Like, I can go on and on and on. So I think the same things hold true when I was being recruited to now.
We're visiting with Clinton Noah, documentarians, and they're working on SEC supremacy all fall long. They're going to be in Aggie Land this weekend. What's your schedule like in Aggie Land?
Oh, it's crazy. We doing this morning. We got our interview with former Aggie lineman Richmond Webb coming up. We got college game day in the morning. We're going to be out there early.
A school huge on tradition. And even after you graduate and you move on, you still kind of remember some of the traditions and stuff like that. So it's with you for the rest of your life, and I'm so thankful that I chose Texas A&M to go to school there. You get hyped, you get the chill bumps. It's just like coming out the locker room and always hearing. The only thing that's different now is I actually get to see the band perform. Before when I was playing, we'd be in the locker room, you could hear them, you just couldn't see them, but it's amazing the way they go through the formations. It's a joy to watch, but you still get the adrenaline flowing like you're still playing out there. Clemson's a great team. They're number 2 or 3 in the country. I think the crowd is going to play a huge factor in this. If we can get that deafening noise where they can't hear and try to disrupt their offense. As long as we don't put us in bad positions, don't turn the ball over, I think we got a good chance.
You win with the maturity that Clemson showed in the clutch tonight, making the last play when they absolutely had to. Look, A&M deserves a ton of credit because they're still building their program.
Whether it be the charming grasslands of Missouri, the great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, the cotton fields of Mississippi, the palm trees of Florida, or the swamps of Louisiana, the towns pass by like strangers in a crowd, yet there is an enchantment and wonder around every turn.
First off, what do you think about 3 guys that quit their day jobs and just go attend SEC football games for a season? Is that?
I think your mother raised you well. I like that. That's awesome.
Glad to hear that.
I mean, this 9 to 5 thing's overrated. So good for y'all. Follow your passions, do what makes you happy. So that's great.
Success is a choice. You either roll the dice to make it. You guys were teachers. You said, this is what we want to do to have fun. Let's try it. Let's make this thing go. Let's do whatever we can to make it work.
The best journeys answer questions that in the beginning you didn't even think to ask. And if you travel long enough, you might just find yourself. If life is indeed an extraordinary exploration of oneself and their surroundings, then an unprecedented 12,000-mile trek throughout the Southeastern Conference would surely cleanse the soul and open one's thoughts to what is truly possible.
Beat soundly in all 3 phases. So obviously that starts with me, but give Alabama a lot of credit. You can't play the way that we played against a really, really good team and had some chances early, didn't capitalize on them, and just snowball from there.
Alabama's going to win this game. Ole Miss is going to win. It's not even a question. Look at the last 2 years. Look at the last 2 years. You lived here for 2 years. Hush, Sam. Yeah, but you see this right here? Ole Miss will win. The Tide is always on top. Ole Miss is going to win. The Tide ain't never on top. 36.
The Grove, for Ole Miss faithful, is a spiritual place. On football weekends, it becomes Mississippi's #1 social event. A sophisticated 10-acre tent city, adorned with candelabras and chandeliers. It is draped gracefully around the center of the Ole Miss campus. It's a place where hospitality reigns and ceremony knows no bounds.
Howdy, Toddy, got somebody who the hell are we? Hey, bam, 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 Ole Miss, Bob,
I have run into so many people in the Grove that have just been like, yeah, I am coming from this part of the country, just because it's a bucket list thing to do. I mean, everybody's got to do it before they die. It's a college football bucket list thing.
There's like a game day attire. You have to dress up to go to the Grove. You wear heels, full face of makeup, cute outfit. I'm not doing potty toddy on video.
No, you are.
We are, Cindy. No, I'm not. Potty toddy. Potty toddy.
Wading through a sea of sundresses and bow ties, it's clear that Rebel fans never lose a tailgate. Even with the nation's #1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide standing by, as a perfect Saturday slowly dissolves into dusk.
You know, I'm speaking from a passionate point of view about the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. I think that it's very inviting, it's very welcoming. There's just something unique about the spirit here. It's hard to explain, but it's like no one meets a stranger. Everybody has a smile on their face. And it's just kind of all-encompassing, which I think is great. It doesn't matter what your race, color, socioeconomic status, your anything. And when Michael decided, regardless of what people think or want to think, one, we don't care. We didn't insist or force or insinuate that Michael should ever come here. This was a choice that he made on his own. Now his sister might have, somewhat bribed him a little. I don't know. I've learned these over the years. I've heard these stories. I'm like, I didn't know that was going on. But really, it made it extra special because this is family. I mean, my husband was an All-SEC. He was an All-American. We have body parts spread all over this campus. They teamed up, decided to do this together, and I sweated for months and months and months. And they were like, oh yeah, we decided that weeks ago. They neither one played because I almost killed both of them. So it ended up being a really great, it was probably 4 of the most memorable years that we had as a family. I think the true message from The Blind Side is that we value people so incorrectly, and that for us, it's that families don't have to match. We really need to learn to love people that don't look like us. Sandra Bullock plays you in a movie and she wins an Oscar, and it changes your life. It truly does. It's a very God-driven thing. This is not by accident. The reality of it is that every single person, you and the people watching this, we all have a story. Everyone has a story. Our story just happens to be the one that got told, and it just happened to resonate with people. And it's amazing. We're 9 years removed from this movie, and it still hasn't died down. I mean, it's constantly on TV. People are watching it still. It's really crazy because I think it's so relatable to people because they look at it and they're like, I want to do that, or how can I do that, or I want to do something like that. So it's crazy that this movie hits on so many different tentacles for so many different people.
I think for Missouri, you want to show off your school, you want to show off your football program. And here's a chance to, play the #2 team in the country and put on a good show and show everyone just how much progress this program has made. Tigers will have their hands full with the Bulldogs. Georgia is just so supremely talented, really up and down the roster everywhere you look. This is why you play in the SEC, and I don't know. It's the biggest game in Columbia in how long? I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure how you quantify that, but the opportunity is in front of them.
I think the most frustrating part of this one is I think we beat ourselves. I'm not going to say too much. Georgia's a good football team, but the Missouri Tigers beat themselves today. If we play our A game, there's no doubt in my mind that we can compete with anyone in the country. And that's something that I believe in my soul, and I truly think we can beat anybody we want to.
Well, it's always great to be back home. I feel like this place is home for me. Anytime I'm back, it's always, first-class treatment, and, I really enjoy coming to watch the Tigers play. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get the win today, but I think we kind of saw what our Tigers are capable of, and, a few things today that kind of shot us in the foot. So you look at that and go back to the drawing board and X out those mistakes, and I think next week you find yourself in a better position.
The Missouri Tigers are late arriving house guests, attempting to find their place inside the juggernaut that is SEC football. 2 back-to-back conference championship appearances opened the eyes of even the harshest of skeptics. And true sons of the Show Me State continue to embrace the school's valiant move by flocking to Columbia's Faurot Field.
Well, the SEC is big-time football, and there's a lot of money behind these programs. And you go to these stadiums throughout the Southeast, and you see that they really, roll it out, and they do it to the utmost way. So I think Missouri's kind of catching up to that, and it's going to be nice here in the Southeast zone. When I went to the Senior Bowl, I talked to a lot of the guys that played at SEC schools, and the two SEC teams we played when I was here in school, we didn't lose to them. So I had in my opinion, was a little bit biased from that standpoint, but I'm looking forward to seeing, what these guys can do moving forward. But I always talk about if I had a chance at Georgia, if I had a chance at Alabama, those things probably would have put me in a better draft position. You never know. It's some great football in the SEC, though.
It is a different brand of football. It's a different style of football.
It is different in the SEC, and it's different on the interior line. That's where you see the biggest differences. You know, you go look around the NFL, there's a whole lot of SEC players in the offensive and defensive line. The other thing is this. If one of their starters gets hurt, they got a 5-star behind him.
I'm immensely proud to be from the University of Missouri, to go here, to attend here, and to be coached well, and to kind of develop as a football player and as a man. The Mizzou made for me is just coming in, competing, learning how to be a competitor, learning mental toughness, and just growing as a football player, and establishing a family and a livelihood outside of the realm of football. I'm very proud, and I'll always be a proud member of Columbia.
And some people are like, well, why did you choose to leave Florida and go to Missouri? And I fell in love with Columbia. I fell in love with the players, the family-like atmosphere. And I was excited and not scared about the idea of leaving Florida and leaving home and just maturing as a man and being a little bit more independent. And it kind of just all came together perfectly. And picking Missouri was probably one of the better choices I've ever made in my life.
I think Missouri, for the most part, has raised its game to an SEC level atmosphere. They've recruited well enough. They've got players on a fairly annual basis, and I think they're in a position to compete well with everybody really except probably Georgia in the SEC East.
You have to remember how Missouri and A&M got in here. The thought process of Mike Slive, the commissioner at the time, and the league was to broaden the geographical footprint. With what in mind? Television, SEC network. Missouri is always going to be a little bit different than the southern schools. Texas A&M is a natural fit.
A&M has had financial success, huge physical success from the move. It separated them from Texas and put them in a position where they could say, you may be still the big dog in the state, in the Big 12, but guess what? The SEC is mightier and it makes more money, and we are the beneficiaries of that. Therefore, look at what we've just done. All the money that they spent not only on facilities, but now their head coach. So it gives them gravitas in the state of Texas.
It's an intoxicating environment to play football in. It really brings the best competitive spirits out of the teams. It's just, it's lively, and it definitely has a different feeling than any other conference. Not that the other conferences are bad; the other conferences are good in their own right. But there's something about an SEC Saturday that's it's impressive, and it was a privilege to join that and be a part of that for 3 years here.
A lot of people kind of question why we're leaving the Big 12 and going to, the SEC, but they probably put more players in the NFL than any other conference. Just knowing you got to raise your level of play. It's normally a more physical style of football, but I think it was good for A&M, but it was good for the Southeastern Conference because you got the whole state of Texas. Now you got a whole broaden your market and exposure stuff to the SEC. So it's been great for Texas A&M.
Missouri, having had the success that it did, it was really shocking to me. It was. I thought they would do well. I had confidence that they would be good for the league, delivering St. Louis, Kansas City to some extent, other areas of the Midwest, broadens your map and broadens the number of households that might be interested in SEC football. So it was good and beneficial, mutually beneficial, I think, from that standpoint. The fact that they got that close that soon, I think, was also a wake-up call to a lot of the elitists in the SEC that were like, well, we're the SEC. You guys don't belong. Oh, wait a minute. Guess what? In the era of the 75 scholarship limitation, a lot of teams can get it done, and a lot of teams are better than people realize.
Well, certainly they belong. Both A&M and Mizzou are big-time universities. Let's start with that. They belong. Everybody around here welcomed them, with open arms. I can speak for this area, there was not a single negative word when the conference expanded.
This is Tiger Radio Baton Rouge, where they say the chance of rain is never, but this Saturday night in Death Valley, not only is there a chance, it's an outright certainty. But this LSU team with Joe Burrow is 4-0, and we know how crazy this crowd's going to be this Saturday when Ole Miss visits Tiger Stadium.
Just go Tigers? Yeah. Alrighty. Go Tigers! Woo!
Tiger Stadium is haunted, and all the ghosts favor the home team. There are few experiences in America quite like a sweltering fall Saturday down on the bayou in the Louisiana Delta. It is, in many ways, the ultimate theatrical celebration of life and sport, a true bastion of fellowship and brotherhood. For many, a makeshift Mardi Gras party. Tiger Stadium is a sacred place, a true cathedral of college football where worshipers gather. And once the sun finds its home in the western sky, it is Saturday night in Death Valley.
To me, it's the epitome of college football because I'm from Louisiana. I mean, that's what I always wanted to be, and to be born in South Louisiana, to represent the great state of Louisiana is a privilege and an honor. But I also understand the expectations of LSU to win championships.
You know, Michael was probably headed to LSU if Nick Saban had stayed there. Nick left and went to coach at the Dolphins. And I was all about purple and golden Tigers. I mean, I look good in purple and gold. I'm a big Tiger person. I was all in for that.
Everybody has their own tradition. Everybody has their thing. It makes it such a great atmosphere. Death Valley is no different. You know, I remember my first time ever playing down there, and you know, when you pull into the stadium, they make you drive all the way around the stadium to go get into the visitor locker room, and we're riding down the road, and I just happened to look in front of me, and they got this dummy hanging in the middle of the road from a noose with an Alabama jersey number 12 on it, and I'm like 19 years old going, what in the world, man? We hit this thing with a bus, and it just starts going down the side of the bus, and I'm watching a real life dummy of myself going down the side of the bus. I'm going, do these people realize I'm not even playing? But that's what makes it special, man, and that's what makes, you know, them great and their fan base great.
You know, you go to LSU, it's just a phenomenal atmosphere before a game. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the food.
But so here's the thing about Louisiana food is they don't know how to make a lot of things. They do one thing really, really well. I don't know if you were asking about the food, but I kind of just went off on a tangent there.
I've been at a day game, and that's great, always being in Tiger Stadium, but a night game, it's just something different. A Saturday night in Death Valley is where to be. It's awesome, so much energy.
It's going to be like the time, I'm not sure if it was like when the Jewish people were fighting the Romans, when they all said freedom in the mountains at Mount Masada. That's right, Mount Masada. They all screamed freedom, and the Jewish men ran down with their horses and fought, like something like that.
There is no greater environment than Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. You're feeling the building shake, and you're watching the pregame. It's a happening. It's not just a game.
Week after week, surrounded by steadfast cowbell-wielding souls, maroon-clad Bulldogs invade college football's second oldest sanctuary. For 106 years, it has stood, whether it be under the hot Mississippi sun or the sting of her bitter autumn winds. A century of tradition, all harmonizing under one unifying phrase: Hail State.
I always wanted to score touchdowns because I really wanted to hear those cowbells get loud because I knew the opponents hated it. So the more I can get in the end zone, the more I can touch the football, and the more we could win, that crowd would get so much into it, and opposing teams hate it. They think it's the loudest thing in the world, and it's annoying. I mean, if you're an opposing team coming in or coaches, it's annoying to you. It makes you lose your train of thought. So that's what I want the guys to do by playing there. And the atmosphere is unbelievable, man. I've been to Alabama, Texas, Florida, all these atmospheres, and they're great atmospheres. But it's just something special about Mississippi State that you have to really experience at least once. Stark Vegas to truly understand what I'm saying.
It's amazing how so many people can love that sound, yet so many people despise it.
It's the cowbells. When you out in playing in that stadium, and you walking over, because we walked over to the stadium when it was time for game time, and you could hear those cowbells. It was just a sense of pride hearing the cowbells, because we knew our opponents did not like that.
Mississippi State is everything. I mean, maroon and white for life. I mean, you got an opportunity. I got a chance to get my degree from that school. That school gave me an opportunity to further my education and play sports. And it's really a family atmosphere. I think if you get an opportunity, if any kid in the country is athletic, not just athletics, but academics too, you get a chance to go to Mississippi State. It's really a family. You feel that. I mean, it's like every other school. You're going to have parties. You're going to have your fun. But you really feel like it's a family.
The legend of the War Eagle battle cry is as ambiguous as it is mystifying. It is a symbol of the proud and undying Auburn spirit. The state of Alabama practically requires you to pick a side at birth, and allegiances in the South are not transferable. It's an ethos that leaves an indelible mark on those that dare grace the loveliest village on the plains.
Today we're going to join two hearts, two souls, and two tigers. And as is appropriate, and as is traditional, please join me in saying, War Eagle! Hey!
You never know, you might see a wedding happen outside the stadium.
This is first for me.
Did you feel like you missed the boat? Like this is something you would have done?
I don't think so.
Every time I go back, that's special time. They make me feel good. They make me feel welcome. It's always, can you come back? Can you just give us a few plays? So can you help these DBs out? So I feel like they still miss me, but I feel like they appreciated what I did for the school. So I embrace college way more, because like now people like, will you go back to the NFL and play in some games? No, I'm not going to watch that. I watch it on TV. I'm not going to the game, but I will always go to my Auburn game. So it was an unbelievable experience to go out there and actually see the eagle fly, and how excited all the fans get. That game, it just brought chills, and you wanted to play again.
The true measure of a man is not always confined to his on-field accolades. Brodie Croyle was a skinny kid from Rainbow City, Alabama, that found success as the Crimson Tide quarterback. Today, he helps facilitate the Big Oak Ranch, which provides a Christian home for children that come from abusive and neglected situations.
But I went straight from the hospital to the ranch, and this is where I grew up. And what Big Oak is we're a home for orphaned, neglected, abused, abandoned kids. We currently, right now, serve 152 kids, 19 in college. There's never a dull moment, but over the past 44 years, over 2,000 children have called this place home. And, got to go play football and got to go do a lot of fun things at Alabama and got to go spend some great time in Kansas City. But, home's home, and, those were things I got to do, but this is why God had put me on earth, and it was to give our kids an opportunity, give them a chance. And we got so many great kids that are doing some amazing things, and they don't let where they came from define where it is that they're going, and they're an inspiration to all of us every single day. It's so cool to see kids that come with so much brokenness, so much hurt, so much pain, and to see them start to go, you know what, where I came from doesn't have to define where it is that I'm going. And that's this very road right here. A little girl just a couple years ago on her 11th birthday, her mom said, pack a bag, I'm gonna take you somewhere special. And she packs her bag and she's excited. Mom, I'm so excited, you've never taken me anywhere. Where are we going? I'm so excited. She goes, you're gonna love it. And she pulls up in the same drive that y'all pulled up in. There's black fence on each side of the road. And she pulls up and she goes, Mom, my whole life I dreamed you were gonna take me to go ride horses, and here we are. And she pulled into our front drive and she said, it's her birthday, I'm done with it, y'all can have her. And it's hard to sit there and look at that girl and to make her the 4 promises that we get to make every child that comes here. And I just look at her and I say, baby, I love you. I don't want anything in return. I said, just give us an opportunity to earn your love back. So I'll never lie to you. If we lie to you, we don't work here. It's that simple. Because every one of our kids, they've been lied to in some shape, form, fashion in their life. We'll stick with you till you're grown. Whatever it is you want to do in life, we want to help you get there. We want to be your family from here on out. There's no other sport that teaches you more about life than the game of football. Because, yeah, I'm a quarterback. Yeah, I got a lot of accolades. Yeah, I got a lot of blame. That's the beauty of the position. But at the end of the day, there was 10 other guys that had to do their job for me to be successful. The quickest way out of here is you try and do this game alone. Because you can't do life, you can't do ministry, you can't do it alone. So you know what? Let's do this together, understand your role, understand what makes this whole thing tick, and do it to the best of your ability. It's cool how God used football and He used my upbringing, He used my life to prepare me for what I get to do now. Because we got 60 employees that we're counting on to get it right. We got 152 kids that I got to do my part to make sure they're put in the right place, but then there's a whole lot of people that we have to communicate with outside of our walls. And football prepared me for all those things, and just understanding team, understanding position, understanding job, but also understanding bigger picture and what the game plan was. It's invaluable and wouldn't trade it for anything.
In the heart of Kentucky's bluegrass region lies the Big Blue Nation, a cavalcade of wildcat crusaders, as passionate as they are patient. While Kentucky is best known for Final Fours and purebreds, the allure of a revamped Kroger Field and a winning football program has reignited football's long-burning flame. A rain-soaked, blustery afternoon in Lexington has brought a sellout crowd as the Wildcats attempt to bring an SEC title back to their old Kentucky home.
And this year, after, once we got in conference play, it's just been electric here. The fans, people have just come out. They stand up the entire game, which before was always an aggravation to me because I would stand up, people were like, sit down, sit down. Now I don't have to deal with that. I can stand up, and it's really cool to have those kind of people behind the program. We see people here that it's the only time we see them all year long. And we make our rounds, and it's just a special time. Like I said, there's nothing like college football, in my opinion.
Those guys are showing that with practice and progressions, the team can be continuously grind and elevate their game, and that's a credit to Coach Stoops and his recruiting classes, and just developing those players is good to see.
I've always thought you could win in football at Kentucky. Obviously, I thought that I wouldn't have gone there. I felt like we were given every opportunity there, and it's a good place. And I told Mark this. I think he's got a special gift, and I think Kentucky's lucky to have him, and vice versa.
It's always a work in progress. You can always improve. If you got a good coach like Coach Stoops, he takes on the father role. And then even now, when I go back and visit, it's going back home for me.
There's no better time of year in the Commonwealth than the fall. It's pretty simple. If you want to be a division champion and make it to Atlanta, you've got to prove that you belong, and that means if you're Kentucky, you've got to dominate tonight.
There's cars literally buzzing by every second, and we're on the side of the road in the middle of North Carolina, and we have no idea where we are, and there's no way to get out of this. This is a donut set that's not going anywhere.
Beneath a luminous Carolina crescent moon, the Gamecock battle crow rings out to a thunderous sandstorm. Lauded as one of the great entrances in college football, the sound doesn't just perforate the air, it penetrates your soul.
Definitely one of the most underrated atmospheres in the country, but just being under T-Rob and Muschamp, when they was recruiting me, they just told me I had the opportunity to come in and play early, and that's what really led to my decision. I was originally committed to Florida State, but Jimbo left, so I didn't want to go play for a coach that I didn't know, and I was most comfortable with playing under Muschamp and T-Rob. So decided to come here, and like you said, it's underrated. I mean, we got nice facilities, a great student section, great fan base, and it's just a fun place to play.
Like most things, college football has evolved. It would not have been possible without true pioneers that rose above conventions to forge their own path and create a better environment for those that followed. Jerry Witherspoon became the first black captain at the University of South Carolina in 1974. Today, his school pride still runs deep as he returns to Columbia with former teammate Henry Laws to revisit the past and enjoy the present.
Here experienced racism. I would think our friend Carlton Haywood, who was here by himself, he experienced quite a bit. When his family came into the athletic dorm to sit down and everything, we were just talking about this last night, the other white parents just dispersed. And the coaches had to come over to his family and assure them that they were going to take care of him. My sophomore year was the first year that Black started. I started as an offensive lineman all 3 years. Henry came in and started as a defensive back. And we had the Soul Patrol, and that's the photo that we showed you when the Soul Patrol was in Houston with Jim Brown. So, Blacks was making their presence known back in the 70s. My claim to fame is I'm the first African-American captain of the University of South Carolina's football team. So that was in 1974. And we gave her the Best Lineman Award, and I thought I should have deserved that. But lo and behold, I ended up being the first African-American captain, and I didn't think much about it, but over the years I realized that was a truly important feat, you know, for someone who's only been at the university, blacks only been at the university 6 years altogether. And then you're the first African-American captain. And you know, as far as the impact of the black athlete in South Carolina football, it happened rather rapidly. In 10 years period, you went from 0 to captain to 1,000 yards to Heisman Trophy.
Every college football player is going to say we have the best fans. But what I can say for sure is we have the most loyal fans because it does not matter the weather, the record, the situation, whatever the circumstances are, they're going to show up. Our fans are hungry. They're hungry for success. They're hungry for a championship, an SEC championship, which hasn't been accomplished. They're hungry for a national championship. It infiltrates every part of our community, every part of society. It's just a special place to be because it's not one of those popular programs, but it has the same type of support as one of those popular programs. And that time will come. In 2012, we played Georgia. Georgia was ranked in the top 10. We were number 3 in the country. I've been to LSU in Death Valley. I've been to the Swamp in Gainesville. Williams-Brice Stadium that night was 10 times louder than any place I've ever been. I think everybody who follows college football knows Coach Spurrier is he's a very confident man. And it rubbed off on us. It was contagious. And when we stepped on the field, we weren't South Carolina. We weren't the stereotypical South Carolina, what people were expecting. We were a team full of savages. And that's really the only way I can describe it because we went out there and we hit people and we scared people. There's a certain amount of pride that you have when you step out on the field and you wear that jersey, even if you weren't a fan growing up. We developed that tradition, and hopefully we can get back to it.
Wrong right. Fire 2 steamer.
Jacquez Green, a national champion in 1996 under Steve Spurrier at the University of Florida. He was a speed demon in the Swamp and a blur with the Bucks. The location has remained the same, and Jacquez Green can now be found patrolling the sidelines of a Florida high school football field.
It was a big win. Last year, they beat us on a Hail Mary at the end of the game, so it was time to get back. And also, this is the maybe 3rd or 4th time in our school history that we've been undefeated. We had a lot of state championship teams come through here, but rarely have we had undefeated teams. It's a big deal, because that's my main thing of coaching high school football. It gives me a chance to give back with these kids and steer them in the right place and be able to talk to them about making college decisions. I don't try to steer them to any particular school, but I let them know, they run this type of offense. I know this coach from here, back in the day. A lot of these same college coaches, either I played when they played or they was coaching back when I played. And we got some good players, and the team we play against got some good players. So it's guys committed to. They got a tight end going to North Carolina. We got a linebacker going to Texas A&M. We got a defensive end going to Buffalo. So there's a lot of Division I type players in this game tonight.
The climate of Gainesville, Florida is defined as humid subtropical, and a nation of gators celebrate under its sun-drenched skies. Whether it be the row of palm trees that lead the way, the piercing blue and orange under the searing sky, or the intimidating slogans painted across its hallowed walls, championships are won, and heroes charge undaunted.
It's crazy. It's chaos. It is, but the best way. It's a lot of fun.
obviously a huge connection to the school, and you've got all the traditions with the Gator Bands and Mr. Tubitz and all that. It's a lot more energy, it's a lot more fun. We've got a new coach. We haven't been doing super great for the last couple of years, but it's been a lot of fun.
I think everybody's just excited that we have a chance of winning, even if it's us like kind of fumbling our way into a win. At least it's a win.
I remember the first time I ran into the swamp as a redshirt freshman, I can't even describe it. It was almost like you went into a cartoon land, because all around you, it was just colors. Like, it wasn't like real life. And then it was deafening loud, and just such a great opportunity to play there. Great home field advantage, great fans, and a great stadium. I think that I was part of something that emerged that prior to that was a very, very average college program, and to be a part of that with Steve Spurrier and to put Florida on the map, have people recognize our logo.
What we need to do is beat Missouri this year if we can. Y'all clobbered us last year, so we need to go out there and play better.
The thing is, everybody laughed about Missouri when they came into the conference, and they went to the SEC championship game the first 2 years. So Missouri is known for having a great offense. They can score points. Like I always said, it's tough to win on the road in the SEC. I think we got a good defense this year at Florida. We can cut down the mistakes on offense, run the football. I think we got a great chance to beat those guys.
In the South, they reserve their entire weekends to gather for worship. Sundays are for church, but Saturdays you can see SEC fans descending upon their team's stadium, most of them awe-inspiring palaces, reaching into the heavens, almost as if they were built by the hand of God himself. They're intrinsic symbols that represent the proud history and tradition of college football's most celebrated conference.
Everywhere you go, there's seemingly a stop that's a must make. But there is no more beautiful setting and unique southern setting than the Grove on Saturday before an Ole Miss game. It's dressed to the nines and candelabra tailgating at Ole Miss. It's got a definite Harvard of the South kind of thing going on. It is the most beautiful setting pregame in all of college football, and certainly in the SEC. And I tell older friends of mine, if you're going to go out to the Grove, make sure you have your Oakleys on, because your eyes will move, and you don't want your significant other to see that. May have been Beano Cook that said it to me. He says, "Brando, all this is unbelievable." And I said, "Yeah, it is. Those girls, the co-eds, they're unbelievable." And I'm like, "Yeah, they are." He said, "No, they don't just redshirt football players. They redshirt Miss Americas."
Even though I've been to these places a million times, it's still always a thrill on Saturday morning to get out there to campus at 6:15 when nobody's there except some students who haven't gone to bed yet. And I remember that it means a lot to me, because I used to be one of those students who hadn't gone to bed yet, getting ready for a football Saturday.
LSU on a Saturday night probably can't top, but Athens on a Saturday night is one of the great places to be.
The tailgating stands out for me. When I've gone to games, the tailgating scene that I've seen in the SEC has been top-notch.
I think for me, the trip to the stadium is the most fun. It's kind of like you're born into the tradition of college football. And when we go to the stadium, everybody's been tailgating for several hours. And as we pull up to the stadium, you see a family with a guy pulling a little red wagon that's got a 2-year-old, and then his wife's right there, and she's got the 5-year-old's hand, and they're all dressed the same, whatever that might be, whatever team that might be, and that stays with you for the rest of your life. That never goes away. So you see 2-year-olds in LSU or Alabama or Georgia gear, and then you see 92-year-olds in the same thing at the same venue, and to me that's the biggest part. I think the traditions, the bands, all of it. But my favorite part's on the way to the stadium when I see the families together.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's great to be on campus on a game day and, to feel the energy and the excitement and the traditions and the pageantry and just, see the tailgating and everything. I mean, I think Alabama's campus comes alive on home games. Georgia's certainly does. Tennessee, when they got it going and they got the volunteer Navy, is really cool. Florida, when the Swamp is rocking, is awesome. Auburn, fantastic. And I love that from a media standpoint, the open air press box there, where you can really feel the sound. Those kind of stand out. Texas A&M has got, great pageantry as well.
I have been to every school in the SEC. I've been to most major stadiums through a series of events, whatever it might be. And there's not really one that I left that I went, oh, I'm not coming back here, Now, there's a few NFL stadiums I've been like that. Yeah, they're definitely. So, but as far as collegiate football, they're just good people that go to college football games.
Well, I'm a little partial, as you know, but I think it's the best stadium in the conference. It's in a natural place because where Sanford Stadium is located is the divide between North and South Campus. It's great. There are other great stadiums in this conference, but I think Sanford Stadium is actually one of the very best.
But is there a school that you just hate?
Well, it'd have to be Florida for me. But there's a lot of them that I don't like. It's hard. We're in an era now where you're trying to pull for your conference if you're not if they're playing somebody else. It's awful hard for me to pull for Florida and Auburn and South Carolina, even though they may be in a bowl game against a Big Ten or a Pac-10 school or something like that. It's awful hard. These rivalries go deep, and there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history to them. I think anything in the Southeastern Conference is all about tradition. And I believe that if you were raised in this state, typically you are a University of Georgia fan. And not having an NFL team here till the late 60s, and not having another one in the South till years later, I think college football reigns here. And the University of Georgia is the flagship university to this state, and it's in the region. Georgia has a lot of class, a lot of character, and there's a reason it's called the Empire State of the South.
That's
cool. Good old Gator Bowl turf after an upset of the #1 Gators, and they've never been over it. Somebody asked me one day, said, what have you ever gotten out of Georgia football? You spent all this money.
Right.
You've traveled to Ole Miss. You ever counted up what you spend on a gallon of gas here and a program at LSU or a steak dinner in Arkansas or whatever? And I'm saying, well, I've got some of the best friends in the world. And that's what the University of Georgia is. It's just a camaraderie of people that come together and under two simple words: go Dogs.
Athens, Georgia represents the pinnacle of Southern traditions. It is oftentimes referenced as the greatest college town in America, the pearl of the Empire State of the South. Should you find yourself between the hedges of Georgia's Sanford Stadium on a flawless Saturday in the fall, you will immediately be absolved of life's insignificant difficulties. Defined by class and character, Bulldog fans create an enticing backdrop for college football glory, and they gleefully unite under two simple words: Go Dogs!
We got it going on. So with Kirby Smart, everything's in front of us. We no longer see boundaries, we see frontiers.
A game day means you get to hang out with all of your friends for the majority of the day, watch the best football team in the world play, and also get a little drink. Just a pinch. Just a pinch.
Amy, do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Oh my gosh, so everybody is here. Everybody from Auburn has come in.
All of downtown is packed. Nobody
I have
has anywhere to
13
stay.
girls staying in my apartment. 13.
13. My boyfriend has
I
like
have so many questions.
12 people staying in his apartment. Like, everybody is here to watch this game. It's a big deal. We're all excited for the Dogs, and we're excited for the SEC champs.
Hey, good to see y'all. We're going to be back.
Thank y'all for coming down.
First off, man, it's an honor. Thank you guys for the opportunity. But now I travel. I'm a speaker. I like to call it a servant. But I do a lot of corporate work with organizations. I sell teams and different groups. But I also work with a lot of collegiate teams. In every sport. Do a lot of work in NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL. And so I just travel and speak and try to use my set of circumstances and situations to add value to the world. I grew up inner city Atlanta, southeast corner to be exact, in a neighborhood by the name of Kirkwood. And I was in a 2-bedroom home with 14 people, born to my mother at 16 years old. And so it started out, I just wanted to have a better quality of life for my family, because me and my cousins were sleeping on the floor. I wanted my own bed. I wanted a king-size bed. I wanted to get my mother off the double shift at Wendy's. I wanted my family to have a better living condition. And so me and my cousins, we were playing tackle football in the street every day because we couldn't get in organized sports because our parents and our family couldn't afford it. And a gentleman came down the street one day and he just got out of his truck and me and my cousins are out playing in the street. And he asked me to go in the house and get my parents or my guardian. And he came out and talked to him, told us about a league he had, and he ended up signing us up, paying for it with his own money. And that same guy, I still talk to him until this day. He meant the world to me. And so he started us out, and me and my cousins that he started out ended up becoming the first people in our family to graduate high school. Second game playing against Air Force, there was just under 2 minutes left in the game. Game is basically over. And when I went to make this tackle, I just thought it was a routine tackle. But when I hit the guy, it was awkward. It seemed as if like every breath in my body left. My body went completely limp, fell to the ground, blacked out. Had never happened to me before. Been in a lot harder collisions. And when I came to, I couldn't move. It was a shock from my head to my toes. I couldn't feel anything. It left my body, stayed in my right arm and hand. They get me over to the hospital. They run a couple of tests. They take me back into the room. And nobody is thinking it's serious until a doctor runs in and he's saying that, this guy can die. He's fighting for his life. And at that point, I'm thinking like, what? Like it's surreal for me. I'm thinking it's a bad dream. That day, my pregame ritual was the exact same, right? I listened to the same pregame music. Phil Collins, I can feel it coming in the air. That was my joint, right? Listen to the same song. I go out in a game and do something that I could do with my eyes closed. I knew how to make a tackle. I can make a tackle 10 different ways. But on this specific day, September 9th, 2006, the outcome for some reason was totally different. And I almost lost my life. I woke up the next day, had a paralyzed right arm and hand, had got cut all over my body, had to learn how to almost walk again. Like my life was totally different from Saturday to Sunday. But something can happen today and everything you work for could disappear in a moment, right? And so when people look at me, I think it's a wake-up call and it's a reminder that, oh man, life can really change, right? Because a person can think they're in control of life, right? And that's a fantasy. None of us are.
Nestled against the banks of the mighty Tennessee River lies a fortress of college football sovereignty. Tennessee has long represented the pinnacle of college football excellence. The pride of the Southland endures and aspires up on Rocky Top.
I moved here in 1995 to work for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I met my wife. I had people talk to me before about running for office, but I was coming towards the end of my career and wondering what I was going to do next. And literally one day I woke up and thought, man, I think I could run and I think I could win. I'm a huge UT football fan. I'm also a big basketball fan. Again, they won the national championship in 1998, right? So I moved here in 95, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. 3 years. I'm here 3 years, and I win a national championship, and this is going to be awesome.
Peyton Manning.
Right, exactly. Peyton Manning to graduate is actually T. Martin, a great quarterback, but everybody thinks Peyton won it. It was actually T that won it. But still, I'm thinking, well, they're going to win a national championship every year. It didn't quite turn out that way, but nevertheless, it's just the whole thing about college football is just all the stuff that goes along with it. I mean, you know, we have the Pride of the Southland Band, and they come out, and all the stuff that happens before the game, and the band's out there, and Smokey runs on the field, and all this just amazing things. It's just so cool, the atmosphere itself. On game day, Knoxville itself has about 180,000 people. Neyland holds 102, 425, I believe, in that neighborhood, 102,000 people. So Neyland Stadium, we almost see the size of Knoxville double on game days.
In essence, most of the people are like one huge family. It really is like that. And that's the way I've always been treated. And when you've got 104,000 people singing the same song or saying the same thing, you know how powerful that is? You know what that does to the players? It's an energy that goes through you. That's what I get when I come in here. Every time I get the same feeling. When you walk through there, before you see the green, before you see all the orange seats and everything, before you see all that, there's a feeling that comes with it. You just know something's getting ready to happen.
Outcoached us, outplayed us today. We make a bad throw, and they run it all the way back. We didn't cover them. We played them split safety, handed the ball off, and we didn't do a good job tackling. We didn't win a lot of one-for-ones.
The thing I loved about Tennessee, when you play ball, they love you. And when my injury happened, the thing that I thought about, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm just gonna be an afterthought or, you know, people just gonna push me to the side and be like, all right, thanks for your service, going on about your business. And the love increased times 10. When I'm back at that place, it's almost like that's my second home, right? Like if it was any other place in the world that I could be outside of Atlanta, it would be Knoxville, Tennessee. The first time I was in the tunnel, getting ready to run out into Neyland Stadium, and I'll never forget, man, I looked out. And so to stand in the stadium and now you got like 107,000 people and it's roaring and they're beating on this tunnel and you just see orange and it's like loud. And the only thing I could think about at that moment was, man, like it's real. Like the dream is real. And at that point, the T was forming and we ran out, man. And it was just, it was insane. Like it was beautiful.
Nestled in the foothills of the scenic Ozark Mountains, the University of Arkansas boasts a prominent history, yet faces an uncertain future. In college football, you have countless Tigers, Wildcats, and Bulldogs. There is, however, only one Razorback.
It's unique for many reasons. I mean, the Razorbacks just, you know, as their mascot, that's one. Two, calling the Hogs Three, there's something special, like I said, to be said when you just have one D1 school in the state that everybody's going to love, that everybody's going to get behind. If you're from Arkansas, it's a real small state, you're an Arkansas fan. And so in my heart and my mind, there was no other place to go. It doesn't mean a lot to me now, honestly. You know, the past year and a half, 2 years, I've been trying to ask to be on the staff in some capacity to help, you know, in any way I could. But they're not going back to the roots. You know, they're not getting any Arkansas guys that actually care about the university.
Through triumph and frustration, fans continue to file into Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium to call their hogs and cheer their heroes.
I've gone to Arkansas on several occasions. I hate that they have struggled to the extent that they have because they have such a proud tradition. I've never met a more welcoming fan base than Arkansas. They're the kind of people that when you come to town, they'll say, Tim, what do you think? Are we going to be okay? But I love them because they make you feel so at home. In many respects, I think the Missouri entry into the league has only made it more difficult on Arkansas.
Whether you like or dislike Alabama, people watch and are intrigued with this story. The New York Yankees' run of World Series titles wasn't bad for baseball. Last I checked, college basketball had survived the UCLA John Wooden juggernaut. So no, it's not bad for football. It generates a lot of added interest. Can Mizzou knock off Alabama? Can LSU knock off Alabama? Will the trip to Tennessee be the one where the Tide gets knocked off? There are ongoing stories week in and week out. So no, I don't see it as being bad. Somebody said to me the other day on an interview that I did out in Honolulu, I was on a radio station out there, and the guy said it's almost an embarrassment of riches. And I said no, because nobody here's embarrassed. So it's not an embarrassment of riches. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's the nicest stadium in America. Now, I know I look at life through crimson-colored glasses, and I plead guilty as charged, but it is a beautiful setting. The atmosphere, more often than not, with all 101,821 seats occupied, there's nothing like it.
Tuscaloosa is much more than a reticent county seat in western Alabama. It is a symbol of pride and supremacy, for inside these city walls lives America's preeminent college football powerhouse. While the ghost of the legendary Bear Bryant looks on with content.
You know what, I wouldn't trade my time. I literally dreamed of that since I was a little boy, of getting to go play there and getting to follow in my dad's footsteps and getting to go play for the school I always dreamed of getting to go play for. Something special about it. You know, there's something special about that school and all the history and the legacy and kind of where you plug yourself into it. And I'm proud to say I got to be a part of the team that I got to be a part of. And that's the best way that I can say it.
The Iron Bowl. Forged by dirt and iron, the hatred between Auburn and Alabama has given way to perhaps sport's greatest rivalry.
So as far as I'm concerned, yes, Alabama and Auburn is the biggest rivalry because in this state, rightfully or wrongfully, 365 days a year, people are talking about college football. So often, the game has national ranking significance, more often than not, and secondarily, it has bragging rights significance. So, yeah, to me, it's as huge as any.
For the fans and for the state of Alabama, that's the biggest game ever. It's the pressure not only from the players because you want it so bad for you want it so bad for yourself, your teammates, but you want it so bad for the fans. And more than that, it's your coach. Your coach can get fired over that game.
And people live and die by this game. And so when it was time, when we were done playing and we were moving back, I was just like, hey babe, like it's a whole different animal living there than it is. She goes like, I know, I got it, I love it. I was like, okay. So we moved back. About 6 weeks later, she called me and she's laughing hysterically on the phone. I said, you want to tell me what the joke is? She said, so I'm driving down the road and I come over the bridge, I come down, I said, I know what you're talking about. And she said, and I pulled up and there's a minivan. She said, and it just your soccer mom minivan. She said it had the 30A sticker, the 26.2, the My Dog's Smarter Than Your 5th Grader. She said, but then I finally realized what you're talking about. She said, right there on the bumper, it said, honk if you sack Brodie. Because when I was a senior, I went down there and got sacked 11 times in one game. And 10 years later, these people still got this bumper sticker out there. But if that doesn't sum up what the rivalry is, I mean, there's just moments that never end. And I just happen to be on a bumper sticker that gets to be a part of one of those. But you know what? That's what makes it fun.
It's definitely one of the better college rivalries in the sport. I didn't know the magnitude of it when I first got there. It's the Iron Bowl week, son. You need to be acclimated. And so that's how important it is to the state of Alabama. I tell guys who just don't get it, if the state of Alabama had an opportunity to get a professional team in the state, they would say, no, how dare you approach us with that? We want either your Auburn or your Alabama. And that's what the rivalry is all about.
And there you have it, a perfect regular season for Alabama. 12-0, 8-0 in the conference, and an Iron Bowl number 83 that goes the way of the Tide. Handily.
The SEC is a war of attrition, an inescapable and unrelenting gauntlet where the battle-tested sole survivor emerges mightier, but yet not unscathed.
People love football in the South. There's nothing like SEC football. We feel like we have the best conference. We know we got the best conference in football.
In the South, football is everything.
And the SEC is a tough place to play in. I think it is the toughest conference to play in.
A lot of people don't really understand like why we chant SEC, because we really feel that our brand of football is the best football in the country.
If people don't like it, get better.
After 14 glorious Saturdays, lifelong friendships being made, and witnessing the unwavering struggle for SEC supremacy, rest assured its significance is deep-rooted and profound. Societal norms do not have to apply to everyone, yet there is room for only a chosen few to walk the lonely street of dreams. You know, Dreams are like stars. You may never touch them, but if you follow them, they will lead you right to your destiny.